Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing you to the news on church stories. I am Oyi Okbala. Let's begin. In a powerful display of unity and purpose, Ambazonians gathered this past Saturday for the much anticipated draft event in Dongamantun County, DMC, a strategically vital area in the heart of Ambazonia. Coming just a day after an emergency address by President Sako, the event drew widespread participation from the diaspora and communities at home, showcasing unwavering support for the country's vital role in the liberation struggle. The DMC draft is more than a symbolic mobilization. It marks a renewed commitment to defend Ambazonian sovereignty and reject any imposed leadership or political theater orchestrated by the regime in Yaoundé. Against this backdrop of growing momentum, today's editorial delivers a clear and uncompromising message. The Amazonian people will not legitimize colonial structures through fraudulent elections or staged dialogues. Decades of betrayal from Fomban to the failed Swiss and Canadian processes have sharpened the people's resolve. The line is drawn. No selection of leaders under occupation, no negotiations held on enemy soil, and no compromise that weakens the right to self-determination. The movement presses forward, driven by truth, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will for freedom. Well, all these and more we'll talk on tonight on Undaunted, but first let's get the prime headlines. All right, tonight we'll go straight to Ambazonian State Army enforced Monday goes down in Fako on September 8, 2025 in a special way. Also tonight, no selection, no negotiation in enemy territory. A report that will definitely be of importance to Ambazonians. Ambazonian State Army captures Lao Republic to Cameroun Brigade commander of Watercho Barracks. Also tonight, French Cameroon's war failure sends plague of crime in Buea. Also, Ethiopia set to inaugurate controversial GED amid regional tension on the African scene and on the global scene. Netanyahu vows retaliation against a deadly Jerusalem shooting, and of course, 6 people were killed in that incident. Now let's get the news in full briefings. The Amazonian State Army has enforced the Monday goes down in Fako, sending a strong message to those who defy their directives. In a dramatic display of authority, the ASA sent one Lao Republic to Cameroon army to the land of no return, effectively shutting down businesses that held initially opened. Businesses that had dared to operate despite the ghost town call immediately closed, demonstrating the ASA's significant influence in Ambazonia. This enforcement comes as part of the ongoing Ambazonian crisis, where Ambazonians are fighting for independence in and across the West. The colonial government has been trying to combat the ghost town phenomenon, with the colonial senior divisional officer of FACO urging residents to cease the practice. However, the SA remains determined to enforce their directives, leading to a stalemate in Ambazonia. The Ambazonian State Army's enforcement of the Monday goes down in Fako of today serves as a deep reminder of the war in Ambazonia. And of course, we have our in-house analyst, Barrister Mbeseha. Barrister Mbeseha, welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me another week. Over to you.
Yes, please. And for the reports of tonight, we can see that for the ghost town today, there were a little resistance, and of such, the ASA had to react. And in reacting, someone was neutralized. What would you say would have contributed to the to the fact that we can't say today experienced 100% obedience as of all the Mondays. We saw a little bit, especially in Fako, as we reported. Some other areas had total compliance, but Fako did not. What would you think would have initiated the bit of disobedience that we're seeing, especially from Fako tonight?
Well, you see, Fako is not. I would like us to look at it in the overall context of Amazonia. But Fako because home to the capital city of Buea. Oh, it is so that I can fly in and go. But what happens is happening in Ambazonia, the board tells the world one thing and re-emphasizes that thing to our colonial masters, like people do Cameroun. What is that thing? That this struggle is based on the determination of the people, not on the free might, on the might of our restoration forces or ASAs. No, it's based on the free will of a determined people. That no guns, no arms can break the will of the people. While you can defeat an army, you can defeat a battalion, a company, you cannot defeat a determined people. Because Ambazonia has become the spirit of the people. And so that is what it is. It's a solid reminder this is 2023, this is 2025, this is the month of September, gearing up to October, the day they will have to choose either to select or to elect a new president. It's a reminder to them and to the world that whoever is that president come October 12th, that guy will have to face the will of the people of Ambazonia. Not the might of our army. We don't have an army as such. Not the might of our gunships. We don't have them. But the will of a determined people to free themselves. And again, as a reminder, no nation in the world ever bends the will of a determined people. We are determined. That is a reminder to them, to their supporters, and to their sympathizers, and even to some of us who are frightened. Fright is not fighting. Determination is the tool that sends a message to the enemy and to our sympathizers, and so on and so forth. And so this goes down September 8th, 2025, coming to October 12th, 2025, when again they will have their selection or their election or whatever method you use to select a new leader coming in. And so we should be encouraged, and we say congratulations not to our ASAs now. Today, we say congratulations to every determined Amazonian who is determined to carry this fight to the end. Because even the ASAs will not do what they are doing. The determined support of the people, of you, the old woman in the village, of you, the old power who just sleeps in the bed, of you, the little boy who is just playing around the streets. Congratulations to all of us who are determined to go through, and we shall go through. Over to you.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. And right about that, The Voice of Ambazonia says that for over 60 years, Ambazonians had suffered a calculated campaign of betrayal and annexation by France and its proxy regime in Yaoundé. What began in 1961 as a vote for a federal union of equals quickly turned into a project of denomination. Article 47 was violated from the onset. There was no union treaty signed at the Funban, only a colonial draft imposed without Ambazonians' consent. The 1972 referendum was a smokescreen for dismantling the federation, and by 1984, Paul Biya declared the death of the union by reinstating the name La République du Cameroun. All subsequent reforms from the 1996 constitution to decentralization gimmicks have only deepened Ambazonians' assimilation. Dialogues and processes like the Grand National Dialogue, the Swiss process, and the so-called Canadian talks were never about justice or peace. They were theoretical distractions designed to legitimize occupation and silence the Amazonian people. From this long and painful history, Ambazonians have drawn a clear and uncompromising line. No selection. We reject all fraudulent elections and impose leadership. No negotiation in enemy territory. Any genuine dialogue must take place in a neutral country of choosing under credible international guarantors. No compromise, because every concession from Funban to Canada has led to betrayal. And so Ambazonia's movement is not rooted in politics, but in principle. They are fighting for self-determination, not assimilation. Ambazonia was not created by Yaoundé. It was forged through resistance, sacrifice, and the unbreakable will of the people. And so the voice ended by saying, Ambazonians stand for firm truth. No compromise, freedom, or nothing. All right, let's get that from Dr. Mungwa.
This is the Voice of Ambazonia. Today is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Today's editorial is titled, No Selection, No Negotiations, and Enemy Territory. Fellow Ambazonians, good day. For more than 6 decades, our people have been betrayed by France and its puppet regime in Yaoundé. The history is written in blood and deceit. In 1961, our people voted for a federal union of equals. Article 47 guaranteed equality, but it was broken from the very start. On September 1st, 1961, at the United Nations, France and La République du Cameroun walked out of a meeting that was meant to discuss the modalities of a federal system. Instead, they unilaterally amended their own constitution and presented it as a so-called federal constitution, without a preamble, without our voice, without our consent. It was annexation by fraud. At Funban, no union treaty was signed. Instead, they were handed a colonial draft designed in Yaoundé and Paris. In 1972, the so-called referendum killed the federation and imposed a unitary state. In 1984, Buea resurrected La République du Cameroun, confirming that the union was dead. In 1996, constitutional changes were made without our consent. Then came communal liberalism, the grocery of decentralization, and all the other tools of assimilation. The Grand National Dialogue was theater. The Swiss process was a scam. The Canada monologue was a farce. None represented the Ambazonian people. Meanwhile, the CPDM ceased to be a political party. It became a corporation of cronyism, looting Sonora, Camtel, and Ambazonian resources to fund its shareholders. France remains the majority owner of this Cameroon corporation, and Paul Biya is nothing but the president of its board of directors. From these betrayals, Ambazonia has learned the final lesson. Every compromise has led to betrayal. Every concession has become a chain. Therefore, our position is clear and non-negotiable. No selection. We will not legitimize fraudulent elections or imposed leaders. No negotiations in enemy territory. Talks can only be held in a third country of our choice, under credible international guarantors. No compromise, because every compromise from Funban to Canada was betrayal, spearheaded by France. Yes to self-determination. Until then, the struggle continues, without pause, without apology, without retreat. Ambazonia was not created by Yaoundé. It was born of betrayal, sustained by sacrifice, and carried forward by the blood of our martyrs, the resilience of our refugees, and the determination of our diaspora. Our path is set. Our people are resolute. Our principle is eternal. No selection, no negotiations in enemy territory, no compromise, freedom or nothing. This has been the voice of Ambazonia, truth in resistance, clarity in crisis.
Well, Barrister Mbeseha, no selection, no negotiation. I mean, the voice of Ambazonia clearly said it there that they only didn't give birth to Ambazonia. It's not like, there are, when you talk about historicity, there are traditions or there are countries where you say, oh, this country gave birth to this country and all of that. So this clearly states this out, and it's about everything that the voice of Ambazonia has stood for ever since it's emerged. It's been trying to clarify, it's been trying to educate, it's been trying to dilute all of this historicity for all Ambazonians to learn and understand. Is there any part of this part of their voice of Ambazonia editorial for today that you would want to expatiate on?
Yes, I would like to differentiate on a few things there. Let us be reminded why we find ourselves here. Why all these things that were suffering since 1961. I had occasion to say it before. It was all deceit. Deceit from day one. Why did they even have to discuss independence by joining? Well, because the British, the UK administrators deceived the United Nations and deceived the world at large into believing that this so-called Southern Cameroun was a worthless piece of paper, that they could not survive anywhere on their own. That was total deceit. The evidence is there. If Southern Cameroun was so worthless, how and why would the UK take, we are told, £2 million sterling from France after they sold us to them? Why would France spend that much money in 1961 to buy a worthless piece of land, to buy a worthless people? It was deceit. To be reminded again, deceit 1959, when we talked about independence by joining, we were never part of the United Nations. But Ahidjo, the president of Cameroun, was given the opportunity to come there and express his views. And in 1959, he came there and spoke publicly at the United Nations, giving answers to questions from Mexico and Liberia. What do you understand by this journey? And Ahidjo told the world that for him, independence by joining meant that his brothers will come and join them, and there will be two people to negotiate on equal basis. All of them will be equal. And he promised they will never try to use their majority to suppress the minority. Because then we were a minority, we were still a minority today. There were 3 million people there, we were just 800,000. This is deceit. A few months into that, the very Ahidjo turned Fumban into a theater of deceit. They built Fumban as a constitutional conference, which was never won. Again, based on what Dr. Mongo says there, we chose Fumban. We chose Fumban. Fumban was the choice of Ahidjo. Was not the agreement between the parties. They imposed Fumban on us. Fumban was one of their best cities where they thought and they could give our leaders drinks. We could give them wine that they have not been drinking before. We could even give them free Bamon girls. This was total deceit. And so that is where it all started. And then come today, we have a Canada 1, Canada 2, Canada 3. We chose these venues. It was not a consensual venue. The CDN was a creation of Yaoundé. There is Canada 1 and 2. The Republic was the creation of Canada 3, which he duped our people to take them there. And not just because of that. Interestingly, everybody knows At the end of the day, Yaoundé will come out publicly to say, no, we'll never ever initiate, we'll never talk to anybody in Canada. What else can be available more than public deceit? They could tell these lies to themselves and tell it to the international community and tell it to their best loved partner, the Canadian Foreign Minister, that they never even authorized her to hold the talks. This is deceit. Again and again, the list continues. They went down to Grand National Dialogue and they claimed they were holding talks with Ambazonians, called them Anglophones. Well, it happened that they were holding talks with the people of their choice, their own creation of their own opponents. It did not work. It does not work because they themselves agree that the product of the Grand National Dialogue, which can be summarized as regional association special status, has not worked. If it had worked in 2019, we will not be talking about it today in 2025. And so Ambazonians are aware of this. We just need to be reminded that going forward, that the seat must end. We shall not go, as Dr. Mongo says, we shall not go to a venue that is not by mutual agreement, which venue will not be in Yaoundé or anywhere in Cameroon. We shall not go for any negotiation unless the agenda, the items are mutually agreed to, and the negotiator is mutually agreed to. The tricks of 1961 have all ended. We've learned a lot. Only a man who is a stupid man can be fooled twice. We've been fooled once. We shall be stupid to be fooled twice. And so, going forward, again, I just said in the last segment, 2025 has come. October is coming. October is crucial in their own history. It is pivotal to us as Ambazonians because we have sent these messages out and we wish whoever wants to come and negotiate with us to know our stand. That's why we do the exercise. We're not talking to ourselves. We're talking to them. We're talking to the world. That brought us into this mess in the first place. Yes, we're so small. Yes, we were so poor, but we were bigger than Israel. We were richer than Israel. We were bigger than St. Maurice. We were bigger than so many other countries around the world and in Africa before. We were bigger and richer than many other countries around the world. And so the whole idea of excusing themselves, they cannot get independence because we're too small, did not even tarry up anywhere. It could not tarry with Resolution 1514 of the very United Nations that passed a year before our own independence, which resolution stated clearly, people should be given independence, notwithstanding their size, their strength, their population, and even their own economy. They needed independence. After independence, they should decide what they want to do with their independence. The United Nations itself had outlawed the imposition of any form of independence on the people. And we are a people who have been a people forever. Why did they defend it to us? It was all deceit. It was all manipulation. That at the end of the day, the price worth of Ambazonia was just £2 million. This is shame. This is disgraceful. This is unacceptable. We have seen the light and we'll fight it out until the end of the day. Over to you.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much. Ambazonians will find the light at the end of the day. In another development in the ongoing war between Ambazonia and La Republic of Cameroun government, the Ambazonian State Army in the Atlantic Zone has arrested the brigadier commander for Wachocho Barrack in Victoria. The commander was stripped of his military fatigue on September 6, 2025, in a bold move that highlights the growing tensions between the two forces. This arrest comes just a day after 7 La Republic of Cameroun soldiers were killed in Fako County, underscoring the relentless efforts of the Ambazonian State Army to protect its territory from what it calls colonial forces of occupation. In a related development, 2 other La Republic of Cameroun army personnel have been apprehended alive in Muyuka, with one appearing in a video attesting that Ambazonians are peaceful people who only want to live in peace. The captured soldier also called on his hierarchy to stop the colonial army deployment to Ambazonia. Let's get that.
Today, Monday, I want you to mandate the Onkashi. So, you say one give message for your friends and for your colleagues them. Oh, mon frère. Voilà.
Ok, aujourd'hui c'est lundi, précisément le 31 mars. Je suis comme ça au sud-ouest, la zone anglophone, précisément Ekona. Et le message que je vais envoyer à la haute hiérarchie, au grand chef, c'est que ici au sud-ouest, les anglophones ne sont pas mauvais. Tout ce qu'ils veulent, c'est la paix. Et arrêter de nous envoyer pour venir les nuire. Par contre, moi, je ne suis pas fait pour la guerre. Et si je me tiens aujourd'hui derrière la caméra, c'est pour faire face à des circonstances qui apparaissent. Arrêter d'envoyer les militaires par-ci, par-là, par d'autres à travers, pour aller faire la guerre avec les anglophones, alors qu'ils ne sont pour rien. L'homme anglophone n'est pas mauvais. Mais c'est plutôt vous.
Well, the situation has sparked criticisms of La République de Cameroun's President Paul Biya, who has been accused of prioritizing military options over genuine dialogue to resolve the war. Critics argue that this approach has led to unnecessary loss of lives, particularly among young soldiers. The Amazonian State Army actions are seen as a response to the colonial government's perceived and colonial government's disregard for the lives of its soldiers and the people of Ambazonia. The Amazonian War is a complex issue driven by historical, cultural, and political factors. Ambazonia has been seeking independence for years, citing marginalization and oppression by the Francophone-dominated government. This war has resulted in significant human suffering, displacement, and economic loss, with over 60,000 deaths and over 1,000 people displaced across neighboring countries. Barrister Mbeseha, that audio there, though it was in French, because of course he's a La République de Cameroun soldier, we've seen it. The truth is, everyone knows Ambazonians are peaceful. All they want is freedom. All they want is independence. And here we are having testimonies and testimonials to that effect. Do you
Well,
think that?
I think that audio there is absolutely very important because it indicates a number of things. That is an enemy combatant caught in the war front alive. We didn't shoot, our own soldier did not shoot and kill him. The people would have shot and killed anybody they suspected. In fact, they have criminalized the name Amba. If you are suspected for being an Amba, you are shot to death. But that is a combatant caught in uniform. And what is important is what he's saying. He has been reduced. Well, that's a guy, a young man, whose strength lay in the uniform he carried, not in the spirit of the war that he was sent to fight. That's why he says, I don't know what we're doing here. Anglophones are not bad people. Why are you sending us to come and die? That is coming from his own mouth. It's not us saying it. Just as I said in the last segment, we have learned a lot. We have learned that Ambazonia has become a religion that cannot be defeated by arms. Their strength that lay in the weapons is behind all the guns they carry are human beings of that nature, young boys and girls who are sent early to their grave for no other reason other than trying to oppress another people. But again, that video tells a big story. He has tasted the salt of it. And now you say, oh no, what we've been doing to these people for 8 years now or more is unjust. These people are very good people. They just want to have their own lives. That's coming from the enemy camp. Who else can give testimony better than that? He's not talking English, he's talking French. And coincidentally, I think I understand a bit of French. If their parents who send them to this world have any sense in their heads, they should listen to that boy. That's the voice of a lone soldier crying in the wilderness, who is still alive. One of the thousands who have died, the 8 who died in Manade a few days before. What did those people die for? They died because they were sent to go and oppress a peaceful people. They were sent to go and kill a peace-loving people in their sleep. And then they lost their own lives. But again, most importantly is that our own boys who are fighting for survival did not shoot this young man and kill him. They never shot him to kill him. He was captured alive. He spoke his mind. That's the behavior of a civilized army. You don't kill your opponent who has surrendered. Once he seized his weapons, and he became defenseless, there was no need to shoot him and kill him. But to the contrary, Cameroun will shoot you and kill you. If you're running, they'll shoot you at the back. If they suspect somebody called Amba, if you're running away into the bushes to save your life, they will shoot you. If you're running towards them to be safe, they will kill you. And so this is the mark of the people that no civilized person should live with. No civilized person should live with. They live on their own and kill the people they want. But again, their own society will disintegrate. And I've said it many times here before. The day Ambazonia shall be fully functional, we shall be prepared to help that people become alone. Possibly in peacekeeping missions in their lawless country. Possibly in giving them aid and helping them to dig their own roads and build their own schools. And that's the mark of a determined people. As small as we are, as they describe us, we are determined people. As weak as they thought we are powerful. Just like Israel, 1 million people fighting against the whole world of the Arab world. And so that is what we take from there, that they are fighting a people who are civilized, who are determined, who know their rights, and they know what to do and when to do it. Congratulations for that young man who is sitting there and pleading for his life. Let his message go viral to the world and to everybody the Cameroun. Whose message is, these Anglophones are not enemies. They don't hurt anybody. They are just peace-loving people who want us to be in peace. That's coming from their own voice, from their own song. If that message can sink, that would be the best that would have gotten out of what the guy said. And I'm sure he spoke for many others of his who have gone down to their graves without explanation as to what they are fighting for. They speak to the families of many people who have lost their children there, who have lost their money, who have lost everything they had, in trying to capture an unwilling person and make them into slaves. So trying to capture Anglophones and make them slaves, luckily for us, they tried it, they failed. We are not going to go back into that slavery again. We shall survive. And we shall not just survive, we shall be ideal. We shall not just survive, we shall lead. And hopefully the Republic, our neighbor, will follow our example. They will learn something from us. They will learn something from us. The idea of self-reliance, this idea of helping one another, the idea of peaceful coexistence. They will learn it from us, like it or not. It will come. If these old people who are there in power don't do it, their next generation will learn it. And that next generation is duplicated in that young man, that small boy. I'm not sure that young man is 35 years old. They will hear from him and know that they were lucky to have nice neighbors. Neighbors who are prepared to have. Neighbors who are prepared to coexist and to live in peace with their own neighbors. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. But still talking about determination over the weekend, Dogon Machun that has been, faced with so many killings, especially the Boros and the rest had their draft and it came out highly successful. Obviously, you were there on Saturday. What can you say about the response from Dunga Mountain yesterday? On Saturday, I beg your pardon.
Yes, before the draft started, I remember I said something here that Donga Mantu, in spite of the Ngala Gerard and all those non-idiots who come from there, we shall prevail without them. Without this war, Ngala Gerard would nothing. He will be zero. But he has benefited from the war, from getting the little promotions he has in parliament, getting budgets that nobody holds anyone accountable for. Prior to that, where was this young man? He was simply a boy trying to become a lawyer. He didn't even succeed in being a lawyer. But he had become the hero of torture, the hero of doing harm to their own people. No. We have said many times, Donga Mountain, like any other 12 counties, we are Ambazonians. No Ambazonian citizen will be left behind. No Ambazonian piece of land will be left behind. We will free all of us, whether they like it or not. They will join the queue of a free Ambazonia. And along with them, I'm very sure the Ngala Gerards and many others would follow. Because he is peculiar in that he's a young man. He's not an old man, he's a small boy. And so we think that he will live to see us in Ambazonia. He will live to march down the streets of Buea with his head bowed, saying that I made the saddest error in my life. Finally, again, congratulations to Donga Mountain. People thought that they were not with us, but we have proved that Donga Mountain is the same like Buea. Donga Mountain is the same like Momo and Mbeseha or any other county. Congratulations for what we did. Let us be encouraged as we move forward in the next draft. Let all Ambazonians come aboard, because no inch of land shall be left behind. No single individual will be left behind. Ambazonia must be free, totally and in whole. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha. Moving on, frustrated inhabitants of Great Sopo Buea were forced to act yesterday, chasing away drug users who have been terrorizing their neighborhood. According to the inhabitants, their community's breakdown is but one of the consequences of French Cameroon's government, which has left the Ambazonian population to face the social chaos unleashed by a man-made war. In Ambazonia, the ongoing war in the Atlantic zone has rippled apart the social fabric and the plague of drug abuse now ravaging Buea in the bitter harvest of that destruction. With the economy shattered and schools shuttered, an entire generation of youth is forced to face the consequence of an 8-year-long war. Southern Cameroonian youths have been robbed of purpose, but many pushed towards substance abuse and crime out of sheer despair. This drug abuse crisis exacts a cruel toll on parents. They live in constant fear, knowing their children aren't safe even in their own communities. The once simple act of playing outside now carries risk. Parents are forced to bear the agony of watching their children succumb to addiction, becoming strangers who steal from their very homes and threaten their neighbors. The nuisance is a daily reality. For residents, in Buea, the area around Street 2 in the Great Sopo neighborhood has turned from a peaceful community into a hunting ground for criminals. According to reports, residents face a daily harassment and their property is no longer safe. The brazen theft of everything from phones to food, right from their kitchen, speaks to a complete collapse of law and order. The community is being eaten away from the inside, not just by the war, but by the social rot that a negligent colonial government has allowed to fester in its wake. And that's what it has been. Barrister Mbeseha, drug abuse is quite rampant when it comes to the Ambazonian communities. And we've been able to trace this to the fact that even some of the security personnel that are being deployed to Ambazonia still do drugs. We've traced it. We've also given reports here where the ASA has been able to apprehend a few of them and try to do some kind of teaching against drug abuse. But here we still have it reoccurring. And we also know from the health area or from the health disadvantage of taking drugs abuse. For some persons, they can, have an overdose and then it gets to their mental health and, keeps them at a disadvantaged position, making them, unuseful, to the society. Drug abuse, if we want to go deep, has been a major distraction to the youths of Ambazonia. We also got information that some youths you take drugs to forget the pain, the harsh environment, and all of that. But still on that, we all know that that isn't enough, and that wasn't going to solve any. It's not going to solve any of these issues. As a father, as an authority when it comes to law, what do you think you can say at this point that would encourage these Ambazonian youths that have been trapped in the use of drugs?
Well, simple story. They call it drug abuse. You are abusing something. It should not be. You should not take that thing. For whatever reason, don't take it. But this question now is, why is it so common? You mentioned Buea, like many other cities. And I thought you mentioned something that around Street 2. I'm a resident of Buea. When you talk of Street 2, every man in London, if you say Street 2, Street 1, that is the main street in that city is Street 1. And the second street is Street 2. Therefore, it is in the middle of the city. How can the middle of a city become a center for drug dealing? How can the middle of the city, Buea, a city surrounded by military camps, police camps, gendarmes, or whatever thing you call security agents, where are the security people when you have all these things spreading in the middle of town? Is it a mistake? No. This is a government in Yaoundé that has failed to such an extent that planting drugs, marijuana, going to help grow in the farms, has become a trade, has become an officially licensed business. And then they have all the troops parading the streets. They themselves are taking it. They're encouraging the youth to take it. Why? Because they know that any youth who take it shortens your life, shortens your survival. And so I can say without evidence, but with my own suspicion, that this is what government has done in the rebellion. Because they know that what they call Amba boys, they are at least the younger generation. They're not me at this age. They are young children of 20 and above. Those are people who can be so used to that thing. Those are people that can threaten them. And so they weaken them by closing their eyes to the spread of drugs. So by itself, it will take a toll on the population. For generations to come, it will take a toll on them. Again, this is a country surrounded by all types of security. I don't know any other country in the world that has multifarious security agents. The B, the military, the navy, the police, the gendarmes, even the warders and forest guards are all supposed to be security officers. In a town like Buea is not a very big place, but these things are all dotted there, everywhere, left and right, because it's also the capital of the city. And then drugs have become the order of the day there. No, it is not an accident. It is deliberate by negligence, or whatever thing you call it. It is deliberate. They close their eyes to the thing and allow it to happen. Drugs, finally, young men, young women, they are not for you. They are not for you. You better spend your time doing something else. They are there appeasing nobody, at the very least, nobody is forcing you to take that thing. The government, state security might close their eyes, but they don't put it in your mouth. You take it by yourself. And so that is not a recipe for your unemployment. That is not anything that you can do for you're not going to school. It is something or other will destroy you forever and ever. It takes years to recover from drugs, from drug addiction. It will take you months to get addicted, but it will take you years to be detoxicated from it. And so stop it. Don't count on any government because there's no government to help you stop it. Rather, the government will encourage you through negligence or they close their eye to it. And so, drugs should not be part of us. When we become independent fully tomorrow and then we have control of our borders, as I've just said, drugs will be outlawed and outlawed strongly. Lawbreakers, as far as drugs are concerned, will have the penalty. That they will suffer some penalties. Among them, they will not forget that they are human beings. When they serve their terms, they will be detoxified. They will go through counseling. They have all what government is supposed to provide them. Because the drug dealers are these children dealing, they are human beings in the first place. Who be misled. They need rehabilitation that we shall provide. They need restructuring in the society, which we shall do. And so, again and again, drugs should be a no-go zone for any Ambazonian child. Over to you.
It's really not any place where a child, Ambazonian children, or a child should be involved in. How the ASA can also manage the situation, because sometime last year we dealt solely on this for a very long time because the effects were beginning to be seen amongst Ambazonians. And do you think that this is, first of all, let me even ask, do you think that this is an issue that would require the ASA to put some kind of measure on?
Well, there are so many ways to deal with it. And so, like, you have to go to be rehabilitated in the society. You have to follow a program. Which program right now Ambazonians cannot. But which program we had? Buea, the center is still there. The place where we could rehabilitate the children who were going astray. We created it, I think, 1961, 1962. It was all there. But what become of those places where children go there to be trained, to be taken out of drugs? It has been turned into a disarmament center. Their main mission has been abandoned. And so, for now, without the structures in place, there's nothing we as the government of Ambazonia and the ESA can do. We can only counsel you. But based on what they had in Buea before then, before this revolution, before the assimilation started, we shall go back to the roots. We shall revive that center, get it back to what it is. It shall no longer be a disarmament center. It should become a rehabilitation center. It was called a rehabilitation center. We will go back to it. That means a lot. We are trained in some trade. We are given something to survive on when you leave the center, be it a farm or a trade that you can do it. That will take you out of drugs. That's how it is done. But for now, without any structures in place, without our ability to enforce nothing, what I can advise is that those children should by themselves stay away from it. If they are still with their parents should make sure they are not part of the drugs. Parents have a big role to play in the upbringing of the child. Again, drugs no-go area for us, for our children. Let the parents be the first enforcers of this rule, because a careful parent would guide the child to a successful life. Over to you.
Right, thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha. This is the beginning of the new week, and as the week unfolds, we'll definitely see more of the reports coming in from the home front, as well as ensuring that we'll bring all of them to the front burner for discussion. This as well would allow you to go rest and probably come back tomorrow for another time on Undaunted.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And right after the break, we'll head to Ethiopia, where Ethiopia is set to inaugurate controversial gird amid regional tensions. Ethiopia is preparing for the official inauguration of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the GERD, on Tuesday, marking a significant milestone in the country's ambitious energy and development plan. The dam, located on the Blue Nile near the Sudanese border, has been a focal point of national pride and is one of the largest infrastructure projects in Africa, costing an estimated $5 billion dollars and under construction since 2011. GERD is set to transform Ethiopia into a major power producer in the African region, potentially doubling its current electricity generation capacity. Despite the celebratory mode in Addis Ababa, the dam remains a source of serious tension among Nile Basin countries, particularly Egypt and Sudan. Both downstream nations have expressed concern over the potential impact of the dam on their water supply, fearing that GERD could reduce the flow of the Nile, which is a critical lifeline for agriculture, industry, and the daily consumption. Years of negotiations, including intervention by the African Union and international mediators, have failed to produce a binding agreement on the dam's operation and water sharing policies. As a result of the unresolved disputes, many African leaders are expected to skip the inauguration, signaling ongoing diplomatic unease. Nonetheless, Ethiopia continues to press forward, viewing the project as essential to its economic growth and energy independence. In addition to powering domestic development, Ethiopia plans to export electricity to neighboring countries, strengthening regional ties and generating much needed revenue. The GERD inauguration stands as a moment of national achievement, albeit shadowed by the broader geopolitical tensions it has stirred across the Northeast Africa in general. It's amazing to see some great efforts and some news coming in from Africa that is far from war and the rest. When we come back from the news, we would go straight to Netanyahu vowing retaliation after deadly Jerusalem shooting as it killed six. The deadly attack in North Jerusalem on Monday has intensified an already volatile situation in the country. According to Israeli authorities, two Palestinian gunmen opened fire at a crowded bus stop, killing 6 people and injuring 12 others. The rapid response by an Israeli soldier and an armed civilian led to the immediate neutralization of the attackers. This incident marks one of the most severe attacks in the city in recent months, occurring amid heightened tension linked to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Eyewitnesses described scenes of panic and chaos, with emergency responders racing to assist the wounded. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quickly visited the scene and delivered a strong statement promising to hold not only the attackers but also their supporters accountable. He announced a siege on the villages believed to be the origin of the gunmen and vowed that all those involved directly or indirectly would face repercussion. Netanyahu also emphasized that such attacks would not deter Israel's military operation, reaffirming the government's commitment to ongoing missions in Gaza. The West Bank, referred to as Judea and Samaria by Israeli authorities and other areas, his comment reflects a broader strategy of escalated military pressure and securing crackdowns across multiple fronts. This latest attack shows the deepening cycle of violence backed by the war in Gaza, which has now spilled over into Jerusalem and the West Bank. Over the past weeks, confrontation between Israeli forces and Palestinians have surged, with both sides suffering casualties. The Jerusalem shooting adds another layer of complexity to the conflict, as Israel faces growing security threats on its own streets while continuing its military campaign in Gaza. Meanwhile, international observers have expressed concern over the escalating situation, fearing that continued violence could lead to a wider regional war. All right, that's all we have for you from Israel and Gaza report tonight. Where we come back right after the short break, we'll get straight to the news that made it to the headlines. All right, tonight we told you that Amazonian State Army and Forces Month goes down in Fako today in a special way. Also, the voice of Ambazonia has said no selection, no negotiation in the enemy territory. Also tonight, we told you that Ambazonian State Army has captured La Republic de Cameroun Brigade commander of the Watocho barracks. French Cameroon's war failure has sent plague of crime in Buea. On the African scene, we went to Ethiopia, where Ethiopia is set to inaugurate controversial gate among regional tension, while Netanyahu vows retaliation after deadly Jerusalem shooting as it kills 6. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Bringing to the news untold stories. On behalf of Barista Team Mbeseha and a team of technicians behind tonight's production, it's good night and God bless.